Welcome to AI News in 10, your top AI and tech news podcast in about 10 minutes. AI tech is amazing and is changing the world fast. For example, this entire podcast is curated and generated by AI using my and my kids' cloned voices. Here's what's new and noteworthy in AI and tech for Saturday, December 27th, 2025. China has proposed strict new rules for Chatty, human-like AI. Beijing also moved to boost its private space sector by loosening IPO rules for reusable rocket companies. In the US, a winter storm is hammering holiday travel, and airlines are deploying AI to help salvage tight connections. Goldman Sachs notified some fund investors about a third-party data breach at a law firm. And across the Atlantic, a diplomatic dust-up over digital regulation is widening between Washington and Brussels. But first, let's hear a word from our sponsors.
Need elite developers fast? Elite Coders connects you with rigorously vetted senior engineers in 24 to 48 hours. Staff augmentation, dedicated teams, or full project delivery, we've got you covered. Visit elitecoders.co to get started today.
Now let's dive into today's stories. Let's start in China, where regulators proposed the most detailed guardrails yet for AI products designed to feel human. The country's cyberspace watchdog released draft rules aimed at services that simulate personality and engage emotionally across text, images, audio, and video. Providers would need to warn users against excessive use, detect signs of extreme dependence or distress, and step in when needed. It's an explicit attempt to curb psychological risks from companion-style bots. The draft also calls for algorithm reviews, data security and privacy controls throughout a product's lifecycle, and content red lines against threats to national security or the spread of misinformation, violence, or obscenity. Public comment is open, but the direction is clear. Consumer AI that acts human will face human-centric safety obligations, according to Reuters. Zooming out, the move fits Beijing's broader posture: greenlight innovation, keep a tight leash. The rules echo earlier measures on generative AI and watermarking, and they'll likely shape how domestic platforms build the next wave of assistants and companions. For global developers selling into China, the compliance playbook just got more prescriptive. Story 2 is also from China, but it's about space hardware. Regulators introduced new listing rules to help reusable rocket startups tap Shanghai's tech-focused star market, even if they're not yet profitable. Companies that hit key milestones, like flying an orbital launcher with reusable components, could bypass traditional revenue and profit thresholds. The goal is straightforward: close the gap with SpaceX by accelerating capital access for private firms, Reuters reports. Momentum is building. Landspace recently finished a pre-IPO tutoring phase and says a Shanghai listing could come in 2026. After an initial flight that fell short on booster recovery, the company is targeting a successful retrieval by mid-2026 and reuse by its fourth launch. Put it together and you see a concerted push. Scale up reusability, cut launch costs, expand satellite constellations, fast. Story 3. Winter Storm. Devin is battering US holiday travel, and AI is quietly helping travelers make their connections. As of Friday evening, airlines cancelled more than 1,800 flights and delayed over 22,000, with major hubs in New York and New Jersey among the hardest hit. JetBlue saw the most cancellations, followed by Delta, Republic, American, and United, each offering fee waivers. Officials urged people to stay off the roads while crews work, according to Reuters. Behind the scenes, carriers are testing AI-assisted tools that decide when it's smarter to hold a plane a few minutes so late inbound passengers can make it on board, without wrecking the day's schedule. American Airlines says its in-house system spots at-risk connections, suggests short holds at hubs like Dallas-Fort Worth and Charlotte, and coordinates rebooking through a new generative AI chat assistant during weather events. United runs a similar concept, Connection Saver, which alerts customers when a gate hold is in effect. On a day like today, those extra 5 to 10 minutes can be the difference between making dinner or sleeping on the concourse. Before we continue, here's a quick message from our sponsors.
This episode is brought to you by Family GPT, the AI chat platform actually designed for kids. If your children are curious about ChatGPT, but you're worried about what they might see, Family GPT gives you full parental controls, content filtering, and the ability to align responses with your family's values, whether Christian, Muslim, Jewish, secular, and many more. Monitor every conversation, set usage limits, and let your kids explore AI safely. No ads, no data selling, complete privacy. Sign up free at familygpt.chat. That's familygpt.chat.
All right, let's get back to it. Onto cybersecurity. Goldman Sachs notified investors in some of its alternative investment funds that their data may have been exposed after an incident at outside law firm Fried Frank, formerly Fried Frank, Harris Shriver and Jacobson. In a letter dated December 19th, Goldman said its own systems weren't impacted, cited the firm's statement that vulnerabilities were remediated, and noted that any exposed data is unlikely to be distributed or misused. The bank says it's assessing the firm's controls and will provide client-specific updates if needed. For the industry, it's another reminder that third-party legal and consulting vendors can be the weakest link, per PI Ments. And finally, the US-EU tech policy rift just escalated. The US imposed visa bans on former EU Commissioner Thierry Breton and others it accuses of pushing censorship through the Digital Services Act and related enforcement against social platforms, a move reported by the Financial Times. European leaders condemned the step as coercive and an attack on EU sovereignty. This comes amid broader tensions. Earlier this month, the White House moved to centralize US AI oversight and signaled it could withhold federal broadband funds from states with what it sees as onerous AI laws. More fuel for a transatlantic fight over who sets the rules for online speech and algorithmic systems. Expect more courtroom and diplomatic drama in 2026. Quick recap before we go. China unveiled draft rules to police emotionally interactive AI, setting a new marker for safety and user protection requirements. Beijing also made it easier for reusable-rocket startups to list, putting capital behind its SpaceX ambitions. In the US, a major winter storm snarled thousands of flights, but AI-driven connection-saving tools softened some of the blow. Goldman Sachs warned some fund investors after a third-party law firm breach, and Washington's visa bans on EU digital officials sparked fresh transatlantic friction over tech governance. That's your wrap for December 27th, 2025. Stay safe, stay warm, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for listening, and a quick disclaimer, this podcast was generated and curated by AI using my and my kids' cloned voices. If you want to know how I do it or want to do something similar, reach out to me at emad@ainewsin10.com. That's ainewsin10.com. See you all tomorrow.